In this video, I'm going to share with you how to get ahead of 99% of people starting YouTube automation so you can make money sooner and grow your channel faster. So the first issue that people face when starting YouTube is that they are going through the niche selection process and they don't do it properly. So one of the big issues that they face is that they don't actually validate the demand for the niche that they want to pursue. So they create this channel, but the channel is not actually based in reality of how many people want to watch videos on that particular niche. And what happens is that makes their channel ultimately slow down or not get traction in the first place. And then it just makes it really hard to actually get a positive return on investment for the videos you're releasing. Now, talking about getting a positive return on investment is that they also don't assess monetizability. So generally speaking, people just start channels with, let's say, one monetization method available, and that channel can only make them $2,000 or $3,000 a month when they really want to be making, let's say, $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a month. So if you don't pick your niche properly, you're going to end up wasting your time uploading in an unprofitable or a low growth niche, and you're going to waste your money, especially if you're outsourcing or paying for tools. So you're never going to get a positive ROI. This video is going to help you overcome that easily. Next, people end up messing up the ideation process. So they don't actually assess the demand for the videos that they're ideating. That means that they're spending their precious time and money making videos, but no one actually wants to watch that video, which you can imagine is a problem. Or they're coming up with ideas that are not too bad, but the problem is that there's not enough differentiation between them and the rest of the market that they're actually getting traction. So people are just watching what's already out there versus watching their videos. So this is going to result in low interest videos that no one really wants to watch. And then obviously if no one's watching your videos and you're spending money making them, you're not going to get a positive return on investment for the videos you release. The other issue is production. So you're starting your channel, maybe you do know how to pick the right niche, you do know how to pick topics for your videos, but you don't have a unique selling proposition or a USP. So what happens is that you're copying what everyone else is doing, but no one's watching your stuff because they'd rather just watch everyone else's, because your content is not better or different than the market. Many people struggle with this. They think that, oh, YouTube just doesn't work for me because that's an issue that they face, and so they quit. But the reality is the market needs something new to be able to attract viewers over to your new channel versus the pre-existing ones. Or the other issue people face is that they don't have a reliable production system. So when they're doing this alongside having a family, having a job, etc., they sometimes have less time than more time, and then they stop uploading videos regularly. That slows down the traction and the progress of their channel. Or they have, let's just say, a team helping them, but then their freelancers end up leaving them or being unavailable for certain periods of time. And then because they're not uploading, they're not making progress. So this ends up causing definite issues with uploading on a regular basis, which is obviously going to hinder your channel's growth. Now, let's talk about packaging, okay? Why I'm explaining all these is because if you can avoid them, growing your channel is going to be 10 times easier. So just so you're aware, your packaging is your titles and your thumbnails of your video. So many people, they just don't understand that you really need to make your packaging intrigue-based. If people are not intrigued by the packaging, the title, and the thumbnail, they're not going to click, no one's going to watch, and you're not going to get views on your channel and grow. On top of that, they have poor branding. So every single video that they release looks like it's from a totally different channel. Problem with that is, as you start releasing videos, your subscriber base cannot recognize your content. They can't watch the videos on a consistent basis, and that also sends negative signals to YouTube. If your own audience doesn't want to watch the videos, why would they recommend it to more and more people? So if you don't have packaging right, you're not going to be able to convert those impressions into views, which means that YouTube's not going to push out your videos, and you're not going to be able to cultivate and really tap into that existing audience that you hopefully will be able to build. So another thing to think about is because all of these different issues can arise, it takes on average people 152 videos to get monetized. Takes some people much more, takes some people much less, especially if they have a YouTube experience or there's someone that has the commitment to at the very least watch through a video of this length today. So as you can imagine, this could be uploading 3 videos for a year per week, or this could be even as simple as uploading 1 video per week for 3 years, right? So again, getting monetized, your 1,000 subscribers, 4,000 watch hours can take people a long time if they don't know how to do things right, which is why I'm trying to get you ahead of everyone else in this video. And just for example, this is going to be the exact framework that I'm sharing with you today that I shared with my student Diego, who went from $0 to $20,000 a month on his channel in under a year while still working a 9-to-5 job. And why I want to share that is because if you have the right strategies, right production quality, etc., you can get amazing results in a very short amount of time. Now, obviously, this is not a guarantee that you will get those results, but I just want to share with you the frameworks that I bestow upon my students that hopefully you can take and use for yourself. So let's move on to the next part of the process, which is going to be the niche selection. So here's where we're going to dive into how to actually do things properly so you don't waste money, you don't waste time, and you can start getting traction on your channel sooner. So when it comes to your niche, you want a niche that has high demand. So you're going to be tapping into a large addressable market. And then you want the channel to be highly monetizable. So ideally, you have a relatively high amount of RPM, which is revenue per mile, which is ad revenue that you're taking home personally per 1,000 views. And you also want your channel to be able to be monetizable outside of just ad revenue, so you have a higher income potential on the channel. So we're going to talk about how you can validate those 2 things. The thing that I recommend you do is you use TubeLab to do this. This is a very cost-effective tool, costs $20 per month. I know you can afford it if you're watching this video so far. So let's tap into how I use this tool specifically. So what I like to do is go to the niche finder, and then I go to filters, and then I want to see channels from the last year that are faceless, monetized, and making, let's say, $7,000 a month. So let's say you want to make 7,000, then that would be where I would put the mark to, and it's going to show you channels making above that as well. And then I want to select English, and then I'm going to hit filters. And so what this is going to do is it's going to bring up channels that are making, at the very least, as much money as I want to make, if not more. So now you can scroll through to see all these different channels that you could potentially pursue for yourself. Now here you can see that there are those that say high demand, right? So if we see some that say high demand, some will say low demand, but typically the channels making more money, like the 5,000-10,000 plus per month, they have high demand because they're making that much because they are getting a lot of attention, right? So not only that is something that you want to look for, and this tool will do that for you. By the way, I'm not getting paid by TubeLab to say this. This is just legitimately what I personally use. But you can also see here it says low profitability. And if we look at this, it says low RPM potential of $2.5 per 1,000 views, right? So if we actually go up to another channel that might have one that says higher profitability, let's take a look. Let's see if there's any here that we kind of see. High profitability. So here you can see, okay, up to $8 per 1,000 views. So not only does this tool allow you to validate high demand for the niche, but it also allows you to validate the high profitability as it pertains to the RPM or the CPM of the channel. You can even get an estimate on how much the channel is making. So you can basically just pick out niches that are going to align to how much you want to make, right? So if we open up this channel, for example, I'm not going to go through the full exercise, but I'm going to tell you how you can go about doing it yourself. If you were to come across this channel and this tool and it meets these different criteria, my recommendation for you is to then open up the channel and look to see in the videos if they're promoting anything else, like affiliate offers, doing brand deals, selling their own products, having exclusive content. And why I say this is because that's going to allow you to then also have, on top of the ad revenue, extra income streams that you can apply to your own channel. And you're even going to know how those channels are monetizing and what companies they're working with, which is pretty cool. So if you see a channel that's, advertising something like Skillshare, and you build a channel that's in the same niche, you can also get that same opportunity and learn exactly how you're going to monetize outside of ads. So now you've validated the niche with TubeLab. So you're already well ahead of probably 75% of people already, but there's obviously more to know. So the next thing that you're going to want to do is you're going to want to understand the ideation process. So when it comes to the ideation process, you want to be focusing on outlier topics that have proven performance. We don't want to be guessing what ideas that you should be coming up with and pursuing. You want to have some data that supports where you're going with your video topic. And then you want to tap into existing demand. And so why this is important, this should probably say tap into current viewer interest, because we don't want to just find videos that have been outliers in the past but no one wants to watch anymore. We want to also tap into ideas that people are interested in watching right now. So the tool that I like to use for this is vidIQ. So if I actually go back to this channel right here, I personally like to use the trending videos button. And this is going to bring up videos on the channel that are getting quite a few views right now. So I basically advise that you pick topics that people are interested in that are at least a week old, that still have high views per hour of at least 50 views. And so why I say this is because it's going to prove to you that this is a topic that can not only get views now, but could be very evergreen in nature in the future. So most unbelievable appraisals, most expensive rings, 136 views per hour still 5 months later. So this video is paying this channel owner months and months and months after the video has been released, which is fantastic. So what you want to do now is you'd want to come up with a very similar topic, but hopefully with either a different format, so make a longer video. Maybe you want to include new additions like other expensive rings. Maybe you want to do things like most expensive, necklaces or most expensive pendants that are going to tap into people's interest for most expensive items at an antique roadshow, but that is not a clone or a copy exactly of this particular video. So that's how you're going to come up with topics for your channel to not only tap into outlier videos, as you can see here, this is the 26th outlier on the channel, but that people actually want to still watch, right? Because otherwise, what's the point? Okay, so now you know how to select your niche. You know how to obviously pick topics for your channel. By the way, I go through other aspects of your YouTube production process in the free training linked down below in the video's description. So feel free after this video to go check that out. Now, next what we want to do is we want to talk about production. So you have the niche, you have the topics that you're going to pursue. You need to pick a format for your particular channel. So your format relates to the appearance, length, and structure of the videos you're producing. So let's go back to this example channel. Obviously you can see that the videos are all about 30 minutes to 1 hour. So it has a longer format. It's all third-party footage and images, which is again the appearance. And then the structure is basically going to be listicles in this particular case, and usually compilations, right? So the compilation would be the format, most beautiful necklaces, and it's just basically listing them through. So you want to find a format that's going to be unique in the market for the type of niche that you're pursuing. And the reason I say this is because if you do what everyone else is doing, you're just going to be another channel that's going to blend in with everyone else, and you're not going to get traction. You're going to struggle to grow. Now, the other thing that you want to consider is that you can reliably output these videos, right? So this should basically say easy to produce sustainably. So for example, if you were building a channel like this, okay, let's just open up the channel Fern. You might have already come across this channel if you've been studying YouTube for a while, but it creates very high production quality videos and documentaries, right? So they're pretty long, they're pretty well put together. And so creating videos like this would obviously take a lot more expertise and time to produce. So if you're someone that has a very busy schedule, you're trying to do this yourself, or for example, you're trying to build these videos, but you don't have the biggest budget, it's going to be very hard for you to continually produce these videos. So my recommendation for you is, as you're picking a format for your channel, make sure that you're picking something that you can reliably output. Because again, if you start with one video per week, then it's one video every 3 weeks because of production issues, it's going to be nearly impossible to get true traction on your channel. So what you want to do when picking a format is, number one, it's differentiated in the market. So we'll talk about that in a second, what that can look like. And it's also cost efficient, so you can regularly afford to actually pursue that format on your channel. And this is going to allow you to get traction quicker when you're differentiating from other stuff in the market. And it's also going to allow you to have greater longevity and sustainability because you can reasonably afford it month over month over month. So just to give you an example, we have a channel example right here, which is the channel Blitz HQ. And so they make high production quality football and documentaries.
At 43 years old, Tom Brady walked away from the greatest dynasty football has ever seen to join the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, a team that hadn't won a single playoff game in nearly 2 decades.
All right, so you can see here, high quality resolution, high quality storytelling, etc. So is this going to be reasonable for people to produce all the time based on the level of research, based on the costs, etc.? Maybe not, right? And we don't want you to lose out on the opportunity to build an income stream with YouTube automation because you can't keep uploading videos. However, we also don't want to go head to head with this type of quality if we can't replicate it, or at the very least beat it as well, because otherwise why would someone watch your content when they can watch these videos? So an example of this, pursuing the same interest area, which is football, but doing it something differently, is this particular channel right here. And here we have the channel Football Explainer. So they're tapping into an audience that's interested in football, but they're doing it in a different way at a lower cost to be able to, again, regularly upload videos, enter into the market a new format, which is, again, a different appearance, and ultimately still make a good amount of money from their videos. And here you can actually see that this video made roughly $1,000, and this one's $2,000 using a less costly format.
Most passing touchdowns in a single game, 7. On the surface, 7 touchdowns in one game doesn't...
So you see here, you can basically see that this channel is working with a paint explainer format. Okay, and so this explainer format right here is something that's different than what's being used in other channels, but it's still within the football niche, which is smart because if you think about it, this is going to be different than what everyone else is used to. It's going to draw an attraction and interest, and this is why this channel has grown to 32,000 subscribers, and they don't even have a ton of uploads on the channel, right? So if we take a look here, I think it might tell us, yeah, 81 videos. So that's pretty good for 30,000 subscribers. All right, so that's what you want to think about, is applying a unique format in the market you want to pursue. Otherwise, you're very likely going to just keep ramming your head against the wall and not getting any traction. Now, what I want to talk about next is the production of your videos, because there's a couple ways you can pursue this. So you can pursue this by using human production, where you're producing the videos yourself, or, for example, you are going to be outsourcing to someone who's human that can put the videos together for you, or you can use AI to produce your videos. So if you are going to be using a human editor and you're outsourcing, my recommendations for you, so you get ahead of 99% of people, is you use deliverable references when you're hiring on Upwork, which is the platform that I hire from. So basically, if I want a video to look like X, here's the reference to what I'm looking for when hiring, so there's no confusion. Also, ask for demo work from the people you're working with so that you can confirm that they can do the work that you need, so you don't hire someone that can't do the work and that you have a bad relationship with and then you just need to rehire. And also confirm the job success rate of the people you're hiring so you know that they've been reliable in the past, because the problem with freelancers is that sometimes they're not as reliable as you'd like them to be. So this is going to allow you to become more efficient in your hiring process, and it's also going to make hiring less expensive because you won't have any rework. So my recommendation when hiring people is that you want to hire people from Upwork that have job success rates of over 80% and that have, at least $1,000 worth of earnings so that they've done quite a bit of work. And ideally, they've completed over 20 jobs so that you know that they can reliably complete the work that they've been contracted to do. If you hire based on these different benchmarks, you should have a very positive experience on Upwork. Now, if you are using AI to edit your videos, you have a couple tools that are leading the way with respect to the YouTube videos that you want to produce. So if you're trying to do something like third-party footage, something like videos like this, then you can use tools like VidRush. So just to give you an example, you can watch a video here, and this is actually from one of my students' channels. This video got over 200,000 views. It made over $1,000, and it was made completely with AI.
Hurdles past Venus, Mars, even Jupiter on a path that defies on all odds. Experts are forced to ask, could nature really create something this bizarre? Or are we witnessing technology built by...
So this is completely made by AI. All you do is enter in the topic and the tool makes the rest. The tool is called VidRush, and it starts at about $100 per month, which is a pretty good deal considering the fact that, again, it does all the work for you. So it's going to save you a ton of time, and it's more cost effective than outsourcing. You can also make videos using TubeGen, which is a little bit more image based. And these videos can do particularly well as well. So here's an example.
A 10% return on $2,000 is $200. Nice, but not exactly.
So here, this is another student channel, Nick Invest, just hit 100,000 subscribers in about 4 or 5 months time. This video made $10,000, and this video almost has 1 million views. So again, it's just images. He basically prompted it to look something like Family Guy, but these videos can do particularly well as well. It's more about the scripting than anything when it comes to faceless videos. And so the reality is good packaging on top of good script writing and a unique format, as you're seeing here in the personal finance space, is why this channel did so well. So these are a couple options. Plans with TubeGen start at $100 a month as well. And these are the different outputs that you can get with these tools. Now moving on, you already now have a good production process that you can use, but it doesn't matter how well produced your videos are if they're not packaged properly. So you need to understand first that your packaging is your title and your thumbnail combined. That's what makes up the package of the video. That's what people first see before clicking. You want to get that right. So when it comes to titling, there's 3 phases. There's the inspiration. So how are we going to come up with ideas for the actual titles themselves? The iteration, so how can we come up with extra copies of those titles and unique angles? And then how can I confirm that the titles are going to look proper when put onto YouTube? So let's talk about each. My recommendation is that if you're looking for inspiration for your videos titles, use Creator Hooks, the free email newsletter that goes out every week. It's going to show you what titles are working right now, and you can formulate that for your channel. So it's going to tell you which videos have done particularly well, what the title is, how strong the title is, and it's going to give you why the title works. Like this one, how to have the greatest academic comeback of your life. Why this works. Strong desire to have an amazing comeback. It's epic, greatest, and of your life makes this video feel very impactful. And it'll also give you examples. How to have the greatest fitness comeback of your life. How to have the greatest gardening comeback of your life. Again, this is actually teaching you why this title works and how to formulate it for something similar to your own videos in your niche. And there are tons of examples. You can get the paid version as well. It's very good. Jake Thomas runs this tool. Again, I'm not getting paid to say this, but he actually made a module in my program that's really impactful on how you can use this tool further. But if you want to just take the free approach, you're more than welcome to, right? And so here's another example. How many Americans really have $1 million or more? Very curiosity based. So if you're using a channel in the personal finance niche, maybe this is interesting to you. This will inform exactly how you can come up with titles for your videos. But you should know that you also want to have multiple titles per video. So let's just say that we were actually running a channel that was focused on how many Americans really have $1 million or more. So we can go to ChatGPT and we can say, give me 10 other iterations for a title like this. And what this is going to do is it's going to give you other ways to basically present this title on YouTube, right? Because sometimes it might be a little bit challenging to come up with other ideas. So you can say, how common is being a millionaire? How many Americans have 7-figure net worth? Is $1 million still rare? Here's how many Americans actually have it. And so it's going to give you other ways to come up with titles, because when you're using the A/B title testing feature on YouTube, you want to upload 3 different titles you can test. And so ChatGPT is actually going to give you a way to come up with other titles for your video. And then you want to make sure that the presentation of your videos is going to be obviously visible on YouTube. If people can't see your titles and it gets cut off, that's not great. So what you want to do is, let's just say that we wanted to come up with a title for our video. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to thumbsup.tv. It's a free tool. And let's say that we're going to use this thumbnail right here. And we're going to say the worst cars you can buy in 2025 for 2026. Okay, so let's say that was our title, right? Ideally, we've come up with that title from role model channels, from Creator Hook's inspiration, and maybe using ChatGPT. Now you can test to see if the title is visible, does it look intriguing to you, by using this free tool that combines your thumbnail and your title. So here you can see the worst cars you can buy in 2025 for 2026. What you can do is you can see, is it cut off? Is it easy to see? And how does it look on different formats where people may be watching your videos, right? As it goes as far as TV, mobile. Here we have different aspects of desktop that ultimately you and your viewer will be seeing, and you can even see it on light mode and dark mode. So again, you just want to make sure that if you're going to put in all this time to pick out the right topic, produce the video, spend the money on it, etc., that it's actually going to present well when you upload it onto YouTube. Now, you want to do something similar for the creation of your thumbnails. So let's go through this process right here. You want to come up with thumbnail ideas. My recommendation is to use vidIQ. This is, again, going to basically identify on a channel. So here we have, inspiration, vidIQ, right? That's going to basically be a tool we can use to come up with different designs for the channel. So let's say that, we wanted to come up with a channel thumbnail, a video thumbnail for our channel. One of the things that you can do is you can go on to, let's just say, this channel here. And my recommendation for you is to basically just go onto the channel, and with vidIQ installed, you're going to see these outlier scores. So you'd want to find designs that are going to basically be associated with outlier videos that then you can emulate on the channel and the video that you're trying to build, right? And so the point of doing this is that you want to basically be looking at what's working, what's attracting people in your niche, and then create thumbnails that are going to emulate what people like to watch, okay? So let's talk about, after getting the inspiration of what people are clicking on, how can we come up with different iterations for our thumbnails? Well, now what you can do is you can find numerous thumbnails that, this is an outlier. Here, if we scroll down, this is an outlier. So maybe we want to make a thumbnail that's a transformation. We want to make one that's more text-based. Maybe you want to make one that is, let's just say something like one person with many trophies in the back. Why I'm sharing this with you is that you don't want to just be guessing at what thumbnails could work, because ultimately you're going to be lowering your chances of getting a positive return on your videos. And don't worry, as you do this a few times, this whole process is going to get a lot easier, but I'm just walking you through what it looks like the first time. Now, let's talk about designing your thumbnail. So the thumbnail that I just showed you here on thumbsup.tv, I want to show you how to make it yourself and using AI. So first we're going to use AI, and we're going to use pixels to make this tool. So to make this thumbnail. So you're gonna say, make me a thumbnail showing the side profile of a Land Rover Range Rover that's red. If I take another look at it, and it's gonna be against a silver background. Against a silver background, okay? And while this is loading, I'm actually gonna show you also how you can do it in Canva. So I'm gonna go Red Range Rover, and we're gonna go to images, and then we're going to find an image right here. So we like that one. It's kind of small though. So let's go to size large. Large. Okay, perfect. Now what we want to do is find a picture we like. So let's say we like this one. We are going to copy the image and we're going to drop it into our thumbnail. And then we are going to expand it. Perfect. So that looks good so far. So remember what we're designing, something like this, right? So maybe what we want to do is we want to, you know, we could remove it from the background. I already kind of like this though, and it has good ratios of some space above and some space below. So now what we want to do is add in some text, right? And this video right here, this thumbnail from a video, it's a real thumbnail and it's generated about 500,000 views. So this is not necessarily a thumbnail that's going to be something that can't perform and can't get views. This is actually a thumbnail from a very successful video that's made thousands of dollars. So how do we make it? So worthless soon, trash in 2026. So we can do something similar. And so we could say worthless soon. And all you need to do is just expand the text. Pick a font that you like. Maybe we like this, or maybe we like this, you know, something like that, like bold, or we can go Montserrat and we can do black. I like this. Okay. So next we're going to just make it a little smaller and we're going to do this. Perfect. So we're going to actually lock this in because I think this is a good ratio, and we're going to hit lock. And then what we can do is we go back to the example, trash in 2026. Trash in 2026, okay? And then we can even have this against a background of some sort. So we can add in an element, like you could just go shapes and then go like this and add it in, okay? Now that red looks nice. And then we can go like this, okay? And you can even have some different aspects on the font itself. Like maybe we want to do on the font, we want to have an effect like a drop shadow. And we can have something like this that's black, right? Now that looks even more prominent, which we like, right? And then trash in 2026. Maybe we want to make this red. So we're going to make it slightly different than the actual example. But I just want to show you that it's really the concept behind it, right? It's not necessarily always the imagery. It doesn't have to be crazy design skills, and it doesn't have to take you a ton of time. So trash in 2026. And the whole point is you're saying this car that you may potentially have bought or you're thinking of buying is going to be trash in the upcoming year. So right now, maybe that's going to be 2027, right? It's going to be trash next year. Okay, don't buy it, right? And it's pointing at this car that a lot of people probably want to buy. So it's the signaling and the messaging in the thumbnail and the packaging that you want to be considerate of. It's not necessarily the design. So now let's go back here. And what we can do is we like this image as well. So let's just say we want to do this totally AI-based. So we can say add text that says worthless. What do we say here? Worthless soon. In white text, so let's say add white text that says worthless soon, and put it in front of a red rectangle. Perfect. and we can do something like this. Okay, so it's basically going to generate text in this area. So we're going to let it generate, but I'm not going to waste your time. We're going to go back here, because what I want to show you is that on top of making one thumbnail, you should also make different iterations like I mentioned, right? And so you want to make different iterations. So if we go here, you can make a copy, and then you can say worthless. So this car sucks, and you could say trash in 2027. And then you might want another iteration that's gonna say never buy this car. And we can make this text a little bit smaller so it fits in the box. And the whole goal of having 3 thumbnails is that you can test 3 different sets of packaging that people may find more intriguing. So something like if the car is going to be worthless, well, I might think, well, it's not really going to be worthless next year. It's impossible. But if I'm getting the warning that I should never buy this car, maybe that's more intriguing because I'm thinking of buying it. Or maybe it says this car sucks and I want to learn why this person that I like to watch says that this car sucks. That might be intriguing. So the reason that I'm saying this is that different packaging could be intriguing or not for different viewers. So then I would just simply save these thumbnails, and then I would upload them onto YouTube and see how they look, right? So let's actually do that. So what we're going to do is download this set of thumbnails. And then I'm going to basically take this and I'm going to extract the files, and I'm going to take the output. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go into thumbsup.tv, and we're going to say cars you should not buy ever. Okay. And then we're going to drop something like this in. And you're going to see our thumbnail we just made. Cars you should not buy ever. You should, okay, that's not the greatest English. You should never buy. Warning. Something like this, whatever, you get to the point. Now you're basically able to see what your thumbnail looks like. Here it turns out well, high quality, very intriguing, bright colors. And then you have a short title that's going to be easy to consume, easy to read, prompts intrigue. Oh, which car should I not buy? The Range Rover is one of them. Could be other ones as well. Something to think about, okay? And then you can also get one out of pixels. So maybe you like this thumbnail, it's added the text, etc. You can just simply go here and download it, and then again use the same process to test on thumbsup.tv. That's my recommendation for you. Now, you know how to make the full video at a quality that's much higher than 99% of people starting YouTube automation, and you know how to plan, how to pick the right niche, and everything else of that nature. So you've already basically gotten ahead of most of your competition. So the only one that's going to ruin this ability to build an income this year with YouTube automation for you is you. So here's what you need to understand. Your journey is going to have ups and downs. Right now, you've just got a lot of information. Hopefully, you're going to actually not waste your time just watching, but you're also going to apply it, which makes the information valuable. And you're going to be riding this high to think to yourself, I'm really doing well. And you are if you've made it this far, because most people would have already clicked off, but you haven't, and I appreciate you as we get to the, almost 40-minute mark. However, then you're going to either have some challenges with potentially hiring, with your first few videos not getting any traction, and you're going to think, you know what, maybe this is just not meant for me. And this is where most people quit, right? However, if you actually want to make money with this business model or any other business model, you have to accept that for a few months, it's going to take quite a bit of effort for you to really put everything together, be able to get enough feedback for you to then make informed decisions based on that. And you need to overcome this period, which is called the dip, where your motivation from your initial action starts to dip, as they say, and go down and reduces until you really gain enough mastery to see yourself come out the other side and get to your 10,000 a month or more goal that you've probably set for yourself. So I want to share with you a couple milestones that you can put your sights on And if you are tracking towards this, then you're doing exceptionally well. So if you get your first 100 subscribers within your first 10 videos, you're doing great. This means that people are resonating with your videos, and you've probably generated, tens of thousands of views on the channel already. Next, if you get to 30 videos and you're already monetized, which now the average is 152 videos, you're doing fantastic. Keep it up. Now, to get your first meaningful amount of income, which I said is about $1,000 per month, expect that it could take you, your first 50 videos, right? So maybe you're spending $50 per video, you spent $2,500, but in that first month you make $2,500 and you're back to break even, and everything else from there is profit. It's where you want to be. Then after your first 100 videos, you have a little bit more expertise under your belt. Getting to $5,000 is a fantastic benchmark to have reached. Now, how are you going to get there? If you want even more detailed training, click on this next video and I'll share with you how I made over 600 grand just in ad revenue from one single channel.